So, like I said, welcome everyone to today's panel, Boosting Solar Sales with Watertight Funnels Powered by Automation. But before we get into it, the answer to today's dad joke. Why shouldn't you eat more than 239 beans? Because one more would make you too farty. With that, I just want to thank everyone again for coming to today's event. Happy Juneteenth. I'm Scott Wynn, founder and CEO of Bodhi. Now, today we're going to try to answer the question, as a solar installer, how can I improve my pull-through rate from initial lead to install and then all the way on? So that's actually when you get paid for a project. I want to introduce you to a special guest we have here today who's going to help us answer that question. We've got Austin Rosenbaum. Many of you already know Austin probably, but for those that don't, he's been in the solar industry, what, 10 years now, Austin?
Yeah, I think Demand IQ has been around for 7 years and going strong. And before that, I was in the industry for about 3 years prior to that. So yeah, it's been a while. It's changed a lot.
So you've seen the ups and downs, and so we're going through a down period at the moment. But Austin's company, Demand IQ, like he just mentioned, is a software
Hey, Jenny.
platform that helps solar installers educate, capture, and convert prospects into sales-ready leads. So thanks for joining me today, Austin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. So for those attending, if you'd like to get in touch with either me or Austin, we're going to post our LinkedIn accounts in the chat box. And so if you have any questions, just please add them to the Q&A section, and we're going to try to answer them during the conversation itself. So really, let's just kind of dive in. Now, first off, like I just mentioned, we're all here because it's a pretty tough market right now for the resi solar industry. So for example, I was just talking to president of a company based here in Austin recently, but they've got offices also in several other states. And he was telling me that at his company, out of like 100 leads, only 5 or so actually make it to contract. And then of those, only about 20% of customers actually end up canceling before the install. So in the end, that's just about 4% of the total conversion. So Austin, what do you make of this really low conversion rate from lead all the way into install?
It's definitely tough. I mean, it's tough to get serious buyers. I mean, that's the whole part. Is that the people always talked about how solar is sold, not bought, right? And so when you compare this against other industries like auto or roofing, the pull through rates are so much higher because there's just so much education that's involved with getting a good prospect through the funnel. And so we have a really tough job, which is education is core to getting that high conversion rate, and nurturing those leads through is difficult for salespeople. And it's just not as easy as selling some of the other home improvements. And that's why Scott's got this. This is an example funnel on the screen. This is a representative of typical conversion rates that a solar company that would be using like paid advertising, whether it's Facebook ads or Instagram, Facebook, or Google ads. These are the types of pull-through rates that we, have seen when customers come to us and say, "Hey, how do we increase our conversion rates?" I always use the analogy, like, how do I make more lemonade out of my existing lemons? Like, we don't want to buy any more lemons. We just want more lemonade. And that's exactly what we are talking about here on this webinar, is just how do we make more from the same amount of leads that we already have, because leads are so expensive. And so really excited to chat with you about that, Scott. And one thing, end to end, you have Demand IQ at the top and you have Bodhi following through on the other end. We'll explain more about what that looks like in a minute. But yeah, curious your thoughts, Scott, on this as well.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting because, like I said, when I was talking to the other installer, he said, in the end, he said, hey, from lead all the way to contract, it's like 5%. But if you break that down, this is a funnel with each stage. So it's kind of interesting when you look at lead capture to appointment setting. And when you're telling me, and then you can start to look at how leaky is the funnel. And I think that's the numbers that are presented there in gray. One of the things I thought was really surprising when you told me that, typical rates for an actual appointment set to people attending meetings is 40%. 40% of people actually don't show up. So that's actually, I'm just so surprised by that. Can you comment on what goes on? in
I mean, people get cold feet about solar, and I mean, whether it's their, they get busy or they just, they book an appointment online, and all of a sudden, they go from that Facebook ad and they're like, "Do I really want solar anymore?" I mean, like I said, it is that it is challenging to get that serious high intent lead, and a lot of it starts with trust, and a lot of it is, I mean, we're dealing with a world where people have articles. I mean, I hope all of us in this webinar are here for the right reasons. Like, that's certainly why I've been in this industry for as long as I have, is to be here for the right reasons, to put panels on roofs to improve this world. But unfortunately, we deal with articles in the news that are very, very much running counter to that. And so consumers have a hard time feeling safe. And there's a lack of transparency. And I do feel very, very fortunate that when we started Demand IQ, it was a very different environment, that like transparency and that, putting information out there about savings and cost and all that stuff. Like, cost was a word that no one wanted to talk about for the longest time, that no one would talk, oh, it's free, it's free, it's free. Look, you got to be honest and transparent with people. It does cost money, and you need to be upfront at the beginning. If you run an ad that says it's no cost, people are going to wake up and say, "Hey, sorry, I'm not showing up for that appointment because I think you're scamming me." And that's unfortunately the truth in some
Yeah, did you
cases.
see, there was the article today, I think it was published either today or yesterday. It was from that the Time article journalist who, or Time magazine journalist who's been writing a lot about residential solar. So she just put a post up there about the Titan Solar bankruptcy. And in specifically, there was she was mentioning a complaint, I think from Nevada, where exactly what you said. It was brought in. So initially it was just being said, hey, it's free, no cost at all. And then after that, there are a bunch of other shenanigans that were happening. And that has to do with just kind of a little bit of the culture of some of the bad players, but what we're talking about, not just those bad players, but in a normal company that's high integrity, really trying to do well, local companies, the funnel still has room for optimization. And
For
so, for
sure.
example, I'm actually, when I tell people that the industry average for people signing a contract to finally actually going it, where people are actually canceling their contract is 30%. That's just, yeah, everyone's just amazed by that. And so I think this goes back to the cold feet about the trust. I mean, where else are some major points in this funnel do you think
Yeah.
there some opportunities?
The trust aside, I mean, let's be honest, everyone's busy. Like, every contractor company, doesn't matter what you focus on, whether it's roofing, solar, anything, you're busy. And let's be honest, most contractors, marketing is not their forte. And marketing automation, which is almost not even in the vocabulary of the contractor, is most certainly not a forte. And so one of the greatest places to pick up some of that leakage and keep it back in the proverbial funnel, and keep that water in there, is through automation and plugging those gaps. And I know we have some folks on this call, some folks that are in marketing agencies, that this is, that marketing automation is something that they do all day long. But every business needs that marketing automation. Even looking at Scott's business, Bodhi has incredible marketing. Like, they have good watertight marketing. They are one of the better marketing and software companies in marketing. You can see it from their website. And there's a lot of places to just plug some of those holes, but it needs to be quick and easy to set up. It needs to be super easy to set up so that you can get results without having to spend a bunch of money on it, or pull your hair out on it. And that's really what we want to talk about today, is how you can use tools that already exist to plug some of those holes and drive better conversion rate to install, from the top of the funnel to the very bottom.
No, that's exactly right. So that's why we're here today. I want to hear more about Demand IQ's new journeys feature and functionality. So that was released. How long ago was that released?
It's only been about 2.5 months since it's really been out there, so it is definitely on the newer side of things. For context, probably if anybody has heard of Demand IQ, gotten a demo, used the product, you've probably used a product that we initially launched with, and I think it was 2020, called Stella. Stella was the first kind of automation system for lead capture, instant quotes, appointment setting, lead qualification, and utility bill capture, which meant it could take the click and turn it into a booked appointment with utility bill all from your website. And so Stella was a great product. It did have some limitations, and that main limitation was customizability and flexibility. From our customers, they said, hey, we like this funnel, but its limits were basically that you could change some of the colors and that you could put your logo on it. It was a monolithic piece of code that needed to be modernized, just like all the other tools that you're using in your stack today, to be completely flexible to represent your brand in whatever way you want. And some folks said, we don't want to book appointments online, or we don't want to capture utility bills online. And we said, Stella, you got to do that with Stella. And so we spent a bunch of time. We spent the last over 12 months with all of our development resource rebuilding that entire product and creating what's called journeys, which as true to the name, is a path that homeowner can go on in a self-service capacity to go and do steps to both learn and push themselves down the funnel through better education, whether it's videos or whether it's an instant estimate that helps them identify that there's savings potential. Or something even more even more novel, like being able to send someone a site survey. Like you can actually text someone a link to go do their own photo of their main panel, or photo of their rafter spacings, or photo of their anything around their home, right? So it's a much more flexible tool. I'll be showing you the front end of that experience. It's also a little bit more clean. Shout out Jenny White, who's just gave us the thumbs up on that. Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate that. Thanks. Jenny's one of our first customers, and she's got an agency that's using our product with her solar clients. She's a great agency if anyone's looking for an agency. Anyway, new product, very flexible, very customizable, arguably maybe has too many bells and whistles at this point. And we're trying to make sure it's easy to use for everybody, but it's very customizable, and that's what our customers wanted. I will also add that Demand IQ over the years has added, as probably best known for its digital marketing side, for helping empower solar companies with better online lead gen tools, but also has spent a lot of time developing tools for canvassing, because we know that the combination of canvassing and online marketing creates the most robust customer acquisition motion for you. If you're dependent on only one channel, that you may be limited, and not only limited, but also risking things if one of your channels go down. Facebook's finicky, but sometimes canvassing is working for you and sometimes it's not. So it's nice to have that duality, and that's why we have both canvassing and online lead gen. But today we're talking mostly about that online lead gen side.
Awesome. All right. Well, let me stop my screen sharing. I'm going to hand this over to you. So I'm pretty excited to see what Journeys looks like, and I think the audience is as well. So all yours.
Cool.
Austin.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Scott. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. For anyone that's seen Demand IQ before, we always use like a demo site. So this is a fictitious solar company. We call this Modern Roofing and Solar. So this is just a demo site that you can go to right now if you wanted. If you want to go to this site, you do have to put in, I just learned today that you do have to put in the www. You have to put in like the HTTPS. For whatever reason, it doesn't work. But the way that this tool installs on your website, so once you onboard with Demand IQ, you get access to a JavaScript snippet that you can embed on your website to create the banner. So this banner is created from our backend. You can color it in any way you want. You can change the call to action, or if you want, you can also create a button link. So if you wanted to actually put it on your website with a button, you can do that as well. And so when I click on it, oh, there's one more implementation I forgot. You can also embed this entire window into a page. So for paid advertising, we don't recommend the banner or the button click. We actually recommend having the widget, the lead capture widget, directly embedded into the page. And this tool is allowing that homeowner to go in and get their personalized estimate, which is a piece of information. We talked about how trust is so important. This is about building trust while also capturing information you need to be able to process the quote and move that person through the process. So I'm going to enter my address in here, and I'm going to search this address. And immediately it calls to our connection with Google Solar API. So you don't need to do any development work to have access to Google Solar API. All of the cost of Google Solar API is included with our subscription. So you don't need to even worry about having all these other third-party subscriptions. It pulls up my house and I'm able to start learning. But immediately it shows me that, like, hey, look, this isn't just a website. I'm sure every single person in this room has gotten a solar Facebook ad, and every single person in this room has clicked on one of those ads that says, we're going to provide you some online estimate. And it just says, it collects all their information and doesn't do anything for them. It says, we'll get back to you. And it's probably some lead gen site. We want to show this person right away that this is legitimate and credible. And so it pulls up that house immediately, asks them for the average utility bill. Mine's about $350. And on this particular site, using the price per watt from this company and my financing or lease terms, it's going to run an analysis. It's going to show me right away all these homes in my area that have gone solar. So all these dots are homeowners that have already gone solar, that I can increase my home value by 4.1%, and that I have savings in my area. So all of these things are building my intent, building my trust, building my likelihood to fill out this form. So people ask, how do you get such high conversion rates? How do you get my conversion rate to go from, I don't know, someone might come to us and say, we're at 3% conversion rate. And we want to get to 7, 8, 9% on a landing page. The way we do that is by offering education and value. Like, think about it. If you're dangling a better carrot and providing value to a customer, you're going to get more form fills. Like, it's human
So,
nature that if I'm,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Scott.
So Austin, I think that's exactly right. So I think there's two things that as I look at this, there's two aspects that's really important here for conversions. First, it's personalized. So like you said, it's just not a generic thing like of, hey, just put in your contact information and here's a generic system. It's actually personalized. They can see their home and they get all that. So I think the key part is personalization for consumers these days. The second part I think is really important too is the order in which you're actually offering up information and collecting information. What we found is that you always have to give something before being able to ask for something. And so
Yeah,
you don't ask for the person's contact information until after you've already given them all the particular information
value.
about
Yeah.
yeah,
There,
what the value of going solar could be. So I think those two things are really important. So I really like that.
there's a guy named Robert Cialdini. He's a PhD, and he came up with this. It's, what, how do you get people's trust? And one thing is called the principle of reciprocity. And
Hmm.
so any good salesperson always gives before they ask. And so you'll notice that that is always true in our lead forms. Now, I will caveat that with, hey, look, Demand IQ's Journeys product is completely configurable. If you want to stick that lead form at the very beginning and you want to capture that information right away, be my guest. I'm not saying that that's the best flow, but that is the difference between Stella and Journeys, is that you can reorder all of the steps. You can put anything you want. This is like a block, so you can just drag and drop this block directly onto the page. But if you want to say sticking with the utility will cost you, 180,000 over the next 30 years, if we have that calculation, like if that is one of the variables that you can pull in, it's like, like almost like a MailChimp mail merge. You can pull in variables that we're collecting from our backend API, and you can put them into the text. You could change this headline to anything you want. So it's completely customizable, completely configurable in this entire experience. And this is another one of those blocks that, that environmental block. And so at this point now, you've captured the lead, you've built their intent, you've educated them, they've self-qualified. We like to say they've priced conditioned. So meaning, like, you've cut down those tire kickers because you've said, look, it's going to cost roughly, I mean, in this case right now, I have exact pricing on. So you can toggle on exact pricing, or you can have ballpark pricing. So you can show it in a range if you want, but you've price conditioned them. And so from now, I can go in and actually book my appointment, and it's going to ask me a set of screening questions to make sure that I'm a good fit for an appointment. So we don't want to waste time with people. No solar salesperson wants to waste time with unqualified people. And so you can completely customize this screening survey in any way you want, so that you're allowing the right people to hit your calendar and making sure that the people who are not qualified don't hit your calendar. Another thing that you can do from here is actually you can use branching logic. So let's say you want to take someone down a different path based on the questions that they're asking. You can send them into like a roofing flow, or you can send them in any direction you want and link journeys together, right? Like, the term journeys really is true to the name. Like, you go down a journey in whatever way you want, in whatever way you want to take your homeowner to collect information and pull them through in the way that you want to. And the final step, I just booked my appointment. So you're getting that online appointment booking. You're getting that confirmation that they're actually interested in having that appointment at that time. It's so much easier to call, confirm an appointment than it is to try to set a lead to an appointment. It's easier to call, confirm. It's like, hey, I got your information. Just want to make sure we're on for that time. In fact, you can do that in Bodhi, and we're going to show you kind of how you can do that. Last step here is uploading my utility bill. And so if I have my utility bill, I can drag and drop that in. We do get a lot of utility bills. It's actually was mind blowing. I think in general, we're at like 40 or 45% of all leads that come from organic website traffic come in with utility bills. It was like when we saw that on Stella over the years, like that, when I built the product the first time, I was like, that actually was crazy that we got so many utility bills, because that's such a pain point for contractors. Anyway, that's where my side of this demo ends. The lead is through the system. If you want to get a demo of this app and see the back end of where you can configure everything, fill out one of our forms, look me up on LinkedIn, get a demo of the back end. We'll chat more about that. But I want to show you, Scott's going to show you now how you can take this lead and make sure that you have a solid appointment and take it forward from here.
All right. So before we get to that part, we have a question here from John Sheldon here. So how are you showing the assumptions such as panel, wattage, utility rate increases, monthly payment, loan terms, etc.?
Yeah, I can take that quickly for sure.
Okay.
So in the back end, there is an ability to input different assumptions about your business, whether it's your price per watt, whether it's your financing or lease terms. All those things are what your escalator assumptions are, what your incentives are. There's a whole bunch of configurable inputs. You can borrow our database for incentives, but like roughly all of the things that you need in your solar calculator, you can input in. And then we have our own solar calculator that lives on top of Solar API. So we're not using Solar API's direct calculator. We've not found that that's the best, most accurate system. We have some data inputs from Solar API and a calculator that we built proprietary to our business that we've been using for years, which stack on top of each other to then create the outputs for what you're seeing for savings, for what you're seeing for cost, for what you're seeing for any of the different variable outputs, avoided cost, those types of things. Okay. Does that answer your question, John?
He's got one. Yeah, he says, sounds great. Thanks for the info. One follow-up. Are we able to show those assumptions to the homeowner for full transparency?
Yes. So that's the best part. And it's funny, I was just on with Goodleap just for this call, and they're like, hey, you're missing some disclosures. You need to put this on here. And I was like, look, yes, I'd like to have that in the template, but the bottom line is this is like building a website. Like it's just like Webflow. You can drag the text block from the block builder into the area and you can put whatever you want on the page.
We've got one more question here, which is from Eric Schneider from Straight Up Solar. They're a subscriber to Demand IQ. What advice do you have about engaging leads who just leave their email? We have good success at reaching leads who upload their utility bill, but the email-only people tend to ghost us. Do you recommend sharing more information on the value of solar?
So there's two things that I would recommend. Number one would be A/B testing with journeys, the ability to actually move the form behind the estimate page. So you will get more leads, but lower intent if you put the estimate or if you put the lead capture in front of the proposal. Think about it. It's gated content. Everybody knows gated content has lower conversion rates. If you put the form on the other side of the gate, of course, you're going to get the higher quality leads. And with journeys, you can do that. And actually, I'm not sure whether Straight Up Solar, you've got journeys enabled quite yet, but if not, we'll want to get you going on that so that you can put that form on the other side. With Stella, you couldn't do that before. That's number one. So just changing the flow can change everything. Number two is talking about nurture and drip. Like that person's more top of funnel. You're capturing their information. It's funny. We have like lots of different marketers tell us different things. They're like, oh, we love capturing all those top of funnel leads because we would have never gotten them anyway, but now they're in our database and we can send them email campaigns. So yeah, we have customers like Native Solar, for example, that always sends at the bottom of every single email a get an instant quote or go back to your instant quote at the bottom of every email. And they just nurture the crap out of all of their leads. And at this point in 2024, in the summer of 2024, when we know that we're not back where we were at our 2022 norms, we're going to go back and hit those leads that we collected that were top of funnel and see what we can get from them. And I'm really excited for Scott to share how you can do that more effectively with Bodhi.
Okay, actually, before I share, let me just give you a little bit of background. So one thing first is that um, historically, Bodhi, our customer journey, we actually use the same terminology. It's all taken from marketing best practices. But the customer journey for Bodhi historically has always started at that point of contract. And so we've been able to help our customers really manage that sales to operations handoff. And then from there, automate a lot of the communications and engagement that's needed through PTO and even beyond. And so a lot of it's just making the life of the ops team just a lot easier. And then a lot of our customers kept on asking, hey, can we use Bodhi during the sales process? And so similar to you, Austin, that's why we built Bodhi 2.0. So it's Bodhi on a whole new tech architecture that's more flexible. And because it's more flexible, we're now able to automatically engage customers from lead to install all the way to repeat customers. So what I'm going to do today is show you how Bodhi can take the lead that was generated from Demand IQ and automatically assist the sales team in nurturing that customer all the way to signed contract. So I think this may answer, also probably address your question, Eric. Okay, so now one of the first things you want to do after a customer has actually expressed interest is to acknowledge that interest. And this can be at any given point in that initial lead capture. So like you could get it all the way to a booked appointment with utility bills, with everything, or it could be anywhere along that top of the funnel. And then from there, what's important is that when they have expressed this interest, you want to acknowledge that interest quickly because these customers can be getting quotes from multiple installers. So you want to come off as the one that's most responsive. The challenge of doing that though is that most sales teams, y'all are just busy. And so also there's just times where it's just awkward to just, awkward time of day. So with Bodhi, what we're going to do is we're going to help you improve that speed to lead. So what we're going to do is automatically acknowledge that interest by transferring the engagement from that website session that Demand IQ is facilitating. We're going to transfer that over to the customer's phone via text message. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So with Bodhi, what we're going to do is we're going to automatically acknowledge that interest. So this here is a text message exchange between Austin, who was the potential customer, and Modern Roofing and Solar, all facilitated via Bodhi. So if we scroll all the way to the top here, what you're going to see first is this initial text, just thanking Austin for his interest and to go solar with Modern Roofing and Solar and letting him know that he can log into a branded portal for more information. And so this is what, let me give you a second. I'm going to show you what this is what the branded portal looks like. But for this demo here, I'm just going to focus on the text messages because one of the key things we've learned, and I think everyone has probably agrees, email is actually not effective anymore. And so text message and marketing via text messaging is now becoming the norm. There definitely are some folks who do not like marketing via text. However, it is becoming more of the norm and becoming more accepted. And this, if you do this engagement after a engagement through Demand IQ, they're already warmed up. And so they're much more receptive to these engagements, these text-based engagements. Now, once you start to scroll down, you're going to start to see that confirmation of the scheduled appointment. So this is kind of the way you could get the salesperson to pick up the phone, call them to confirm the message, or you can just send them this text message. And if the customer wants to reply, they can. All of this just goes back to this omni-channel team inbox, which I'm going to show you later. Now, one of the interesting things, or just one of once you get into the sales process, these processes can last days or even weeks. So it's really important to build further this trust with your customers. And so here, Austin here is receiving a message telling them more about the history of the company. They've been around. So if you're a local company, you want to emphasize that and that you've been around for a long time. And you've done quite a bit of solar installations within the community. And then like and if you want to get the utility bills, sometimes it's actually a little bit difficult. I think the 40% rate that Demand IQ was able to get through Stella and through Journeys, that's pretty amazing. But if you don't have those utility bills, you can actually ask for that as well. And so in this case here, Austin can simply use his phone, take a photo with his phone, and just send it back via text message. One of the reasons why people drop off when you ask for utility bills is like, okay, how do I do this? I first got to find utility bill. Second, do I have to go scan this now? Or can I just take this via a photo from the text message and just send it back? And so this makes it really easy for installers to be able to get that. So from here, then you can easily see that once the appointment is there, you can have a reminder. This really helps to prevent no-shows, and especially if they want to reschedule that. Once the meeting's done, quick follow-up. Now, in addition to just sending out messages, which is part of the nurturing process, it's really important to get feedback from your customers as well. Now, this is extremely important for sales managers. So what we have here is we've embedded a customer satisfaction survey. And all of this is being facilitated by text messages, which is just much better than sending out an email survey through like SurveyMonkey or something like that. Now, with these customer satisfaction surveys, it's great if you get a 4 or 5, but what's even more valuable is if you can get a 1, 2, or a 3. Because now you finally have been able to uncover any particular unsatisfied customer who's willing to leave feedback. And there, the sales rep or the sales manager is able to have the opportunity to remedy that situation. So the rest of the text message exchange here is just messages to build trust, to move Austin down the funnel, like embedding a video to a customer with a customer testimonial, for example. So what I want to point out is that with all these text message exchanges, this is both a combination of both automated messages that Bodhi is sending out and manual messages that Makai, the sales rep, is sending. However, the majority of this is automated. So this is important for 2 reasons. So first, Austin, the customer, he's being automatically nurtured through that sales process. And that's just complementing what Makai, the sales rep, is doing. And therefore, Makai simply has to just step in to provide that additional special touch that only a human really can provide. Then that gives Makai extra time to work more leads, which sales folks always love. The second most important thing is that your sales reps are likely already sending these types of nurturing messages. So if you're able to automate that as a sales manager, you're able to standardize the best practices from your best sales reps across the entire sales team. So yeah, so that's kind of text message. What I want to do now is show you what the back end looks like for the backend installer portal and show you what as a sales rep or a sales manager you'd see. So let me move over here. I'm going to log in. So, all right, let me get into the desktop view. Great. So now we have logged in. And so what we want to do now is we're going to first move over to the inbox. So if we look at here at the end, this is the inbox. And what you'll see here is all the text message exchanges that I showed you from the phone and before. And what's important here is that this is a full chronological ledger of all the communications. These are, even though the messages are being sent by text, they're all coming back to the inbox itself. We're also sending messages out via email. So those messages will also, any replies to those messages will also land here. As I go through, you can see that the automated messages, you can see the utility bill that was provided through text message here. You can take a look. And so what makes it really easy for the salesperson is to be able to have all this information there at the tap of their fingers when they want to take a look. Now, what I want to show you the bottom of the call is that I think the last message from Austin was that he was ready to go. And then this is right after having a phone call with Austin. Makai can go in and put in an internal note, which lives here within the exchange, but also can be noted here on the right pane. Now the other, so if he's ready to go, what we can do is go ahead and try to close this deal. So I'll just give you a quick example. I'm actually going to use a template for a contract. Please find here a contract with details of the system that Modern Roof and Solar will be installing for you. Please review, and if everything is fine, I'll send over for your e-signature. So let me attach a document. So here's a sample contract, and off that goes. So now Austin will receive this via text. He can access this within the portal as well. And then if he's ready to actually sign the contract, we also facilitate that as well. So if you go over here on the right pane, under documents, you see all the particular documents here. Here's the sample contract. We can go ahead and ask for his e-signature. So I'll just do that, prepare the document, and get his e-signature and the date that was signed. And that's it. This is then sent out via text message. And what was really cool was one of our customers said that it would take him, when he was using Adobe Sign, it would take him 1 to 2 weeks to get signatures back from customers. Once they started using Bodhi, they were able to get the signatures back within 1 to 2 hours. And then if you ever have any questions, if you're what the customer's seeing, then you can click here to look at the homeowner portal. This is exactly what the homeowner is seeing in their portal. There's our solar private pizza tracker here, what's next, and then you can see how he can, Austin can, once he logs in, he can review and sign. So that's pretty much an example of that. And then we're at 12. I got a few more minutes. I just want to show you one thing real quick. How is all of this actually, how does it get set up? So for this, let me go over to settings. And the key to all of this is Bodhi journeys. I think customers of Bodhi, you guys are pretty familiar with Bodhi journeys. What we've done in our Bodhi 2.0 is just make it more flexible. So you look here, we're able to support all types of journeys, from sales journeys to install journeys, even service journeys. Here's the Demand IQ journey. All of the journeys are divided into particular phases, and with each phase, there are multiple touches. So for example, let's take a look here at touch 1, the appointment scheduled. Now this message here can be triggered off of a CRM field reaching a particular stage. And then we can actually have more complicated triggering logic as well. And then all the messaging that is fully customizable in the same way that Demand IQ has made journeys fully customizable. Now, I just want to point out in touch 2, the intro to the company, here, the triggering is set up to go out 24 hours after the appointment scheduled touch. Now, what this does, it allows you to nurture your customers really pretty much indefinitely. And you can even set this up to engage your old leads, like Austin was mentioning before, to find out if like now is a better time. So anyways, this is just what I showed you is how to, to pick up that lead from Demand IQ and then take it all the way to contract. Yeah, that's the demo of Bodhi 2.0. So I got a question here from John Sheldon. Can we keep our same SMS carrier? Ring Central also does a text sync with the lead record in our CRM Zoho, bill images, text, etc. So the first part of the question, we are not able to keep your same SMS carrier. What we can do, you'll get a new number. What we can do is get an area code that is specific to your locale so that it comes from a local number. And then second, if anyone actually calls that phone number, that number can be forwarded back to whichever phone number that you guys are currently using. The second part was, do we actually sync back with the CRM? Them right now, no, but that is definitely in the queue for development. So that is something that is part of the 2.0 development that allows us to have a little bit more flexibility and a little more capabilities with these integrations with all these different CRMs that people are using. So
John, I have a
anything else?
question for you. I have a
Yeah.
question for you. What about, so what we just showed was like a what we call like a real-time lead or like a live lead. I
Mhm.
know that many solar installers have tons of data already in their database. What does it look like with Bodhi for reactivation of age leads? Like if I already have
Yeah.
someone that I want to like try to nurture and reactivate, what does that look like?
Yeah. So what's nice about this is that similar to your journeys, journeys can be created for all different customer segments, which include not just product lines or different geographies, but where they in their customer journey itself. So we just showed you that, but one can easily create an age lead re-engagement journey, kind of what we've showed here. And this can, so what can happen is the customer can be automatically enrolled into these age lead journeys to for that engagement to find out if it's now is a better time. Now the other way of doing it is to that continue to nurture them all the way through until they actually sign a contract. So one with these time-based touches, it's actually you're able to periodically keep engage your customers to keep your company top of mind. And that can be get to a point where they are then able to book another appointment. And then at that point, you can then transfer them back over to, once they sign a contract, transfer them over to the installation journey. So it allows a installer to really be able to um, customize the different ways that they want to automate that engagement. What's key is that initial engagement there is through text message, and it's then slowly building trust through the different the different kind of journeys that a customer may want to be on. Great. And then John asked, do we purchase SMS credits and bundles through Bodhi? That's included in your subscription, John. So we know that it's easier just to pay for a monthly license, and so that's how we price.
Speaking of pricing, if anybody is wondering about Demand IQ's pricing for journeys, at one point with Stella, so we got some feedback that it was a love it or hate it scenario with our previous model, which like had fees per lead, per appointment, and per utility bill captured. Originally, we called that like success fees. Like we were like, well, if we're on the same page with you and getting paid at the same time you are, then we're winning at the same time. Well, when people started getting a lot of success and getting big bills, they were like, wait. We don't want to have to pay every single time we get a lead. I'm like, okay, all right, can't win here. So it'll be a flat rate. So we went from the per lead, per appointment, per utility bill to just a flat monthly fee. So we're now on the same kind of flat subscription. I don't know if yours is flat, but it is now
Yeah,
just a
we
regular subscription. It doesn't have those per lead, per appointment, and per utility bill components on journeys.
Yeah, we've done the same as well. So we were originally very much the same thing where it was per project kind of success based. And then what we heard from installers is they just wanted a more very consistent, they just want to know how much they're paying. So
Predictable, yeah.
something
Well, for
predictable.
us, it was like customers like, well, this is working. We want to scale this on our Facebook, but we don't want to pay more every time we increase our budget. And we're like, okay, all right, fine. We'll change it back. We'll
Yeah.
change it to a flat fee.
So we've got that. For us, we sell in project packages, and there's volume discounts. So if you're a really big company, we are able to pass back the economies of scale, but we're able to actually provide this for small companies as well. And we've got some companies, local companies that are, installing about 5 projects a month, and they're actually working real well because they've been able to, rather than hire additional people, they've been able to use Bodhi to just keep the team lean. So if there are
Nice.
any
Any other
questions,
questions coming through?
Yeah, if there are any questions from folks, please add them to the Q&A. That's the one that I'm going to primarily check. But we did get one other question from John Ross of Sugar Hollow. How can we set something up to automatically schedule a calendar invite to help us reach out within X days? And how do we set up an automated email to reach out asking if customer has any additional questions or concerns? So I think with that question, within Bodhi, for example, at least, all those are all those are easily set up as different touches. And the time-based, I would recommend using the time-based ones for this. With Bodhi, one of the other things is that we do have customer success managers who are working with um, solar companies from across the US. So we do have folks to help people set up their journeys, be able to consult, and then bring in best practices from what we're learning across the industry.
And I did get one more question here too on my side. It looked okay. So someone is asking, how does this integrate, and what do you need for the calendar system? So integration with Demand IQ is really simple. We do have a Zapier app, so you can connect this to just about anything. You can actually go two directions with that API. So you can push data like leads and appointments to your CRM, and we can also read data back. So you can actually update, keep the statuses linked, and you can see with your reporting and analytics like a full 360 picture of what's going on. I would say, like, in terms of our product roadmap and where we're headed, our Demand IQ portal is definitely set up for configuration. Like, it is definitely, you go there, to configure the funnel, and you set it up the first time. Some people are in there A/B testing and playing with funnels and trying to make them better. Some people set and forget. Totally up to you what you want to do. But in general, like, where I think that Demand IQ portal will go is, we really want to be a source of truth for your entire top of funnel. We want to help you ensure that you're hitting your cost of customer acquisition goals, your CAC goals, by bringing that data back from your CRM system back into Demand IQ, so that you can see your Facebook cost per lead, so you can see your YouTube cost per lead, so you can see your door-to-door cost per lead, so you can see which campaigns are driving the best conversions. That part's not quite built yet, but that is where we're headed with Demand IQ portal, is just configuration and reporting. So that's really like our long-term vision, is to be able to be your kind of BI tool for marketing at the top of the funnel.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Yeah, we're thinking about the same. Part of our roadmap is having a little bit greater, be able to provide more insights on kind of the operations and all the different stages that go through. We've got one question here from John again. Thanks. Is this texting journey in Bodhi included with the subscription to the rest of the Bodhi suite of products? Yes, it's at the heart of the Bodhi product. So that is, everything is included. So one question to you, Austin. I mean, this is such a hot topic. What's your take on AI?
Mhm.
Everyone's asking about it.
So we use AI in two ways. So I don't know, for anybody who has seen a demo recently, that we're also offering roofing. So we do have roofing and solar. And the way that we use AI for our business is actually to measure the property. We actually are now looking at the property on a satellite and aerial image, and using AI to actually measure the roof, and be able to come up with those dimensions. And so it's a real thing. I mean, it is really valuable to be able to measure a roof in real time and come back with instant roof measurements and pitch. It's tremendously valuable to be able to do that. So, I mean, I think AI, I use ChatGPT all the time. It's a huge part of my workflow as a business owner, as a salesperson, as a marketer, as a team member. I just want to make sure that my copy to my team looks polished when I send out that CEO report. There's all kinds of reasons why AI is valuable. I think it really is like a platform revolution. I think in our history, we've had like some really big changes. Like, I'm sure all of you remember when the first smartphone came out. I didn't get the first iPhone, but that was a platform revolution. Like, that created game changing for us. And I wasn't around as I was born, but I wasn't part of the dot-com boom, maybe as some of you were. But like, I know the internet like really changed things for us as well. I was young. I did have dial-up. I did have AOL. I did have a screen name. I had all that, but I wasn't quite of age yet to really appreciate that. But I do feel like AI is a platform revolution and is very valuable to everybody's business, whether you're in solar or anything like that. Scott, what's your take?
So most folks have asked me about AI to be a chatbot. When will Bodhi do the AI chatbot thing just and answer questions? And it's going to be for us, our answer is it's going to be a little while. We're pretty conservative about using AI to be anything customer facing, especially trying to answer questions. It's just because that customer interaction is so sensitive. And if a customer gets frustrated, they're just going to drop. And so what we're looking at on our side are things that how can AI be able to help the team, the installer be more productive. So one of the things we're prototyping on our side, and we've seen some good promise, is customer sentiment analysis. So that entire text string, that conversation between the customer and the installer, we can actually ask, what is the customer sentiment? And is it positive, neutral, is it negative? And also, which way is it trending? So that allows an installer to be able to come in and say, hey, here are my customers that need extra attention. And they can do that at scale. And then sales managers or ops managers can do that on their own, or and just it's a way that I think that's one of the best ways in the near term that I think AI can be helpful for, and that's what we're looking at for probably later this year.
Mm. So, Scott, just on that note of the
Mhm.
sentiment analysis, is there a way, or will there be a way in the future to see your sentiment of customers over time that like maybe based on, so one of the biggest things with leads, this is actually an insight. I think lead sources create very different sentiments for customers. Not saying I don't like looking at Demand IQ as a lead source for a lead collection tool. So your lead source is it Facebook with a particular ad? Is it YouTube with a particular ad? Is it your website with a particular ad? Is it your doors? I'm very curious to look at the sentiment of customers by lead source detail and understand, can you actually predict conversion rate by looking at sentiment and seeing whether you have good quality leads by looking at the sentiment, very quickly assessing, is this a quality lead source or not based on the sentiment of response? That's a
That's quite
question, and
interesting.
I wonder if you could do that analysis.
Probably so. Well, it looks like there's going to be some collaboration effort between us too, more than what we're already doing. So, um, cool. Okay, one last question from an audience, and then we will wrap it up. Austin, can Demand IQ auto place panels on the roof and is configurable, such as based on TSRF minimum, max fit, target offset, minimum number of modules for roof plane, landscape versus portal, etc.
Okay, I wonder if anyone in this room has used any AI to place panels before. Has anybody ever used any of the AIs? There's a few very big name ones that start with an A, and then there's a bunch of small no name ones that don't have any traction quite yet in the market. None of them place panels well to the extent that you want to show it to a customer yet. We have looked at it, we've tried it. We initially started an integration project with a small vendor that was doing it, and we pulled back because it just isn't there. Like, it's not, the panel placement component isn't there yet to the extent that we're comfortable showing it to the homeowner and saying this is your project, and they fail. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know. Maybe at some point we do with Solar API does have panel placement. It does offer that
Whoa,
as
I
a.
wonder if it's
Am
my
I
internet
frozen?
or Austin's internet. So
Yeah,
if
you look frozen to me. I don't know. Sorry. Can you hear me?
folks are
Yeah,
still there,
Scott's frozen, not Austin.
Okay.
okay.
Anyway, wrapping up that thought. No, we don't have it currently. It is something that we get from Solar API. The reason we don't have it is because we just feel it doesn't offer the best customer experience. It may be something that we like turn on for people if they want to play with, but it just, for the development work, for the impact, it hasn't been there quite yet. Any other questions?
How about this? Why don't we close this out with what is one super practical tip or thing that each person here listening can go back and try at their business, Austin?
Definitely paying attention to your lead source detail, not your lead source, but your lead source detail. What ads are you running that are driving the success? Not just what channels. Like, can you use, there's these things called UTM parameters And these things called UTM parameters help you check which ads and ad sets are driving your conversions. And so it's not just about whether Facebook works or whether YouTube works or whether your website blogs work. It's about which blogs or which ads are driving success. And if you can get to that resolution, you can do two things. You can help to optimize your ads for showing more of those ads that actually create down funnel results, and you can measure cost per acquisition by your detail source, not just your overall source. And so that's my tip for this gang. I'm sure Scott, you've got something juicy to share.
I don't have any juice thing. That was only for you.
Oh, all right. Put me on the
for
spot. Put me on the spot. No detail for. Okay, got it.
That's a great thing about being a moderator. But so thank you, Austin, for doing this. Thank you. This has been an awesome conversation and demo. I really loved seeing that. So I think the audience may have more questions they still want to ask. So what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Definitely the best way to get in touch with me is by email. I'm also very, very responsive on LinkedIn. So if you lose my email here that I'm putting in the chat, I'm also super responsive on LinkedIn. So I know that was shared at the beginning of the webinar. It looks like it's shared again here. If you just want to get a quick demo of the platform, definitely probably the fastest way to get scheduled with us is just to go through our lead form. I hate to say that, but it does auto book into our calendar. So if you want to just get scheduled for a demo, just go to our site and you can book a demo right from there. Otherwise, I'm happy to make sure you get a demo if you email me. Also happy to just talk shop about solar marketing trends and anything. If you want to ask questions about our roadmap or what we're looking to do as a company, also happy to just talk shop and compare notes.
All right, sounds good, everyone. So if you have any questions, reach out to Austin. If you're interested in going deeper with Bodhi to explore any of these features or the collaboration that we've got with Demand IQ, go to bodhi.solar and then likewise book a demo. That's actually probably the fastest way as well. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for attending and wishing everyone a happy Juneteenth. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining on Juneteenth. Thanks, everybody.